So, welcome, guys. Here's to a new episode of What's Your Problem. Today, we have with us Ruhee. Ruhee has a journey which started way long back, but the journey shifted. And journey shifted from being a chef to a life coach, that I can say. I'm just using a little bit of the name. Rest, I want you to hear from her. Hi, Ruhee. How are you?
Hi, Asta. I'm really good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Enjoying Delhi.
Delhi heat?
Okay. Yeah. So tell me, how was the journey from becoming a chef to becoming a pastry chef, actually, to becoming a life coach?
So, there were a lot of bumps. My story is very interesting. So, when I set out, I wanted to be a dentist. Okay, because I
Oh,
come from a family of doctors and engineers. So, I was like, me too. Okay, so I was going to become a dentist. And one fine day, I woke up and I told my dad, listen, I'm not going to look into people's mouth. I'll spoil them with chocolates. Okay, and then began my journey of hotel management. So I joined hospitality industry,
yeah.
and I had a beautiful journey. I topped Mumbai University. Everything was going fantastic. Uh, and then during my internship, I realized that I cannot work under somebody else. Like I cannot work under too many instructions.
That's
And
yeah.
I think it was very sensible of me to understand at that age that I want to have something of my own. All right. So then I thought, how about bakery? Bakery it came very naturally to me. My professor also would call me in college, when there would used to be little extra work and he would ask me to help him out and all. So I think when you're naturally good at something and then when you get appreciated for your work, very naturally you tend to tilt towards that. So
Okay.
I started baking, and my journey was fantastic. There were a lot of struggles at the beginning because having no idea of business, I ventured out with Coco Cottage all by myself. So initially, I had a store by the name of Coco Cottage in Pune, um, and then you know what? Suddenly, in a year's time, I started looking 10 years more than my age. I was so stressed out with orders and production. And I realized, what? Production is not my thing. I love baking, but production is not my thing. Every day I like to experiment and do something new. So I said, why not get into teaching? So that's how I got into teaching, and I opened Coco Cottage Academy in Mumbai. Okay.
Oh,
Now in Mumbai, of course, I had a humble beginning. I started off with only, tell you how much, somewhere around 3,000 rupees is what I started off with.
no
I
kidding.
rented out, yeah, so I rented out a studio. There was a dance studio, and I used to go there for my dance practices. And he said, "Why don't you do one thing? Like, there's this space, and you're a pastry chef. Why don't you just take this up and teach?" I said, "Yeah, idea to bura nahi hai. I can always give it a try." Okay,
Yeah.
so I gave him, I gave him like 1,500 rupees there, and I didn't have the brush and mold also. So I bought the brush and the mold and some chocolate slabs and all that was for another 1,500 bucks. So with 3,000 rupees, I began my journey, and I got three students, and I charged them 3,000. So immediately I earned 9,000 rupees. Right. Then what I did was I again churned in that money back into the business. Okay. So then I bought some more stuff, got some more students, again rolled out the money. So that's how I started the academy gradually, little by little. And whenever I would collect enough money, then I would go abroad. I would learn under a pastry chef, again come back and again impart that knowledge. So I had a lot of learning through my journey. And then post that, food channel happened to me. So I was there at the Bake Diaries. I did television. I did India Today. Very soon, I saw that I was invited to all these hotel hospitality colleges to to be the judge of different competitions, to come and give them extra sessions, on egg-free baking, because that was my specialty: egg-free, vegan baking, gluten-free baking, which was very new at that time. So I think it was fantastic. I was just riding on that high wave, and then came COVID, and we were
Yeah.
like, bored. You can't go to the studios, you cannot travel, because very recently I'd gone to Kenya. to teach. So I was like, now what do I do? Because international doors had just opened for me. And so I said, you know what? Why don't I try something on Zoom? I mean, let's, everybody's doing it. Let me give it a try. And जब Zoom किया, it was so crazy because I had 100, 200, 300, 400 students. And now these students were across the globe. They were not only Indian. And I was not going out to their country to teach because that would also cost me a bomb. But what was happening is they were teaching and they were learning from me online, right? So I had this massive student database and everything was going good. And COVID was actually not that bad, the first one, okay, because not everybody was doing videos. So Femina approached me. There were different brands who came together. Every day I was getting hampers, and my husband is like, "Baba, COVID, you better be careful. So I'm sanitizing all the hampers and get promoting, shooting and editing by myself." Why? Because I started from scratch. So when I started from scratch, I didn't have a team. So I was shooting and editing by myself. So I had that skill set with me, which continued during COVID also. So, anyways, a lot of brands were approaching, and it was working fantastically well. Then what happened was, very unfortunately, I lost my dad to COVID.
Okay.
And that happens to be the most darkest phase of my life. And in spite of so much popularity and in spite of so many people and well-wishers and people around me to support and be there, right from my students to my team, which was my heartbeat at that time, I couldn't get my heart and head back to baking. I think it could also be because my dad was such a solid support to me when it came to baking that I couldn't gather that courage to bake again. Not that I didn't try, I did. And somehow I was not okay. I knew I'm not okay. I knew I'm not fine. So initially you're strong for your family and all of that. But then I could feel myself sinking and slipping into a lot of unwanted emotions and heavy emotions at that time. So the thing was that for mental health, I started approaching a lot of therapists who at that time I thought would help me get out of this. And I would go to one therapist, give that therapist enough time, because nothing happens fast, But nothing was coming out, I could only feel that I was venting out to them for hours and hours, crying and sobbing, and that's it. Ho gaya. What after that? What after that? There was nothing happening, and I just felt this cycle would never end, And I was like, sometimes you feel your clock is ticking and you're just paying someone and you're just crying and you're not coming up with any solution or any help per se.
Right.
From one, the second one, the third one, and then I said, you know what, enough, let me give this a break. And I again went back to working and, just trying to drag myself because, of course, I had salaries of a lot of people also on me. Like the entire team would work and all together. So I said, I need to get back. But there was something in me which wasn't feeling right. So I did this project in Canada, and there was there was this roll me up ice creams for in Toronto where I did this project for them. And when I went to Canada, I had a lot of time alone to myself apart from doing the project. Right, night I would just spend by myself and a lot of pondering and thinking. And I said, I remember giving this call to my husband one day and saying, you know what, this is my last project. I don't think so I'm going to bake anymore or do anything related to this. And he was shocked. He's like, are you sure? Because you've been doing this from past 12 years. Maybe you want to just give it a break and get back to it again. I said, no, I'm very sure. There's something within me which is telling me I don't want to continue with this. Maybe I would like to do something else. I don't know what at this point. He said, okay, no problem. I kept the phone. I just took 2-3 days there. And when I came back, I told him, you know what, I want to be a life coach. He said, what? I said, yeah. He's like, are you sure? I said, you know what, let me first do the course. Let me see how does that feel, and then maybe I can think of a switch. So this was the course that I did from Dubai, and it's ICF certified course.
Yeah.
So when you enter a different industry, you have to know, that so you don't fall trap to these so-called life coach courses, and though then
Yeah, yeah.
that's all rubbish. So for people who are hearing this out, please go to a reputed institute, because they will teach you true coaching, and coaching doesn't happen in 1 or 2 days or 3 days. It is a long process. So they have a good 3 month, 4 month, 6 month course. Please go ahead and do that. Okay. So, not being from the mental health background or any of this, um, I went ahead. I said, "यार कुछ नहीं तो खुद के लिए ही हो जाएगा. If nothing, so there's no harm, there's no loss." I
Yeah.
went ahead and I studied. And as I was studying, I was implying that just to myself, and as if in those 4 months that studying had become healing for me. So while I was studying, every day there was a realization. Every day it moved me in some way, and that was the switch. That was the time I decided, "Ki, yeah, when I needed that help, that support, nobody was there for me. Nobody could understand how to help me deal with my grief." So I said, I would like to be that support to people that I didn't receive during my time of grief. So that's how I just, what, it sort of became my next. I feel very few people are lucky to find two passions in their life. For me,
Yeah.
baking was and will always be my first passion. And my second passion is coaching. I feel um, so full and so wholesome with coaching, because whenever you coach someone, you learn so much. So,
Hmm.
so the time that you spend with the person, investing in them and in their emotional issues and in their problems, is actually helping you learn so much and reflect so much. So you really grow as a person. And at certain age of your life, I mean, or maybe after one point when you've seen enough popularity, you've seen enough fame, money, everything, then your internal growth is something that you want. You're not looking at how much I'm making from this or what. You rise above a lot of things, and I think I'm in that phase right now. I feel so good when I really feel that I can sincerely help someone achieve and be where they want to be. And that's when I chose emotional regulation, because I feel this is one topic which they've not taught us in school. बच्चों को naturally regulate कर लेते हैं. We don't, and we are so stuck with our emotions. We just pent them up and we don't know what to do with. So that's where I come into picture, and I feel I help people release, feel heard, and give them safe space to express themselves. So that's where I am today. Every day I'm learning. Every day I'm uh, reading a lot of books, hearing a lot of valuable podcasts, so that I can add value in life of people that I encounter.
Yeah.
And very recently, I took um, an offline, an in-person workshop, which happened very recently, and I got a fantastic feedback. What I really feel is when you do in person, the vibe, the energy is so different. Online, I used to do, but see, you just see people's faces and they're just there, and you don't connect as much. So yeah, it's been good touch wood so far, and I've got quite a few opportunities of collaborating and going ahead and doing a lot of work. So I'm very happy.
So Mumbai, you did it in Juhu, like that open session. But they wanted to tell the people like they can come to you in Mumbai, in like area in Juhu's, if they want to do offline, and if they want to do online, they can connect from anywhere in the world to you.
Absolutely. So so this is another space where I'll be taking in-person one-on-one coaching. So I'll
Yeah.
take it in person as well as online, and we do have group coaching sessions also. Not again in person and online. So anybody looking out for any kind of emotional regulation to release their anxiety and stress, feel free to connect.
So that's something actually, changing from being a pastry chef to a wisdom coach, a life coach. I just wanted to ask. I wanted to ask you something on this actually. Is that when you told us that you were in Canada and you were still contemplating on what you wanted to do because you just felt it wasn't right for you anymore. It wasn't doing it for you anymore, and you called your husband. And
Hmm.
you wanted to you wanted to
Yeah.
change your career.
Hmm.
And what? Why do you? Where do you think that came from? That you should be a life coach. Where do you think it came from? Why do you think you wanted to be a life coach? How did that inspiration come to you?
I think so. A lot of it has to do with baking. So even when I was teaching baking, I was a mentor to them, right?
Okay.
So I was teaching, so I could understand their issues, I could understand their problems. I worked very closely with all the students. So mentoring came very naturally to me.
Mhm.
Okay. Talking about life coaching, it is quite a strange thing. Even I'm wondering how I got through this. But I wanted to be out there to inspire people, to give them direction, to just, I think it's just the feeling of serving,
Mhm.
to just be at service for somebody. So initially, I was, let me put it this way: with being a chef, I was helping them make a living because I was teaching them how to bake so that they could go ahead and sell those products and make money. So I was teaching them how to make a living, but with by being a life coach, I'm helping them help them make a better life.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So I'm working on the quality of life
Right.
mm, that's something that we can think of.
now.
Yeah. I like the way you put it though. Like it comes into service. I like
Yeah.
how it came to you.
Yeah.
With that coming to my next question about it, I know COVID was difficult for everyone, and it
Mhm.
wasn't long back. It wasn't a long time back that it happened. Just happened like
Mhm.
3 years down. So how did it affect you mentally? Because everyone lost a lot of jobs, and students had to start studying from home. People got laid off. A lot of businesses went down.
Hmm.
How did it work out? I mean, I wouldn't say work out exactly. How did it go for you mentally? How did it affect you?
Okay. So the first time around, so there were two phases, right? There was the COVID phase, the lockdown one and the lockdown. So I got married in Jan and lockdown happened in March.
Oh.
So while we were getting married, we were like, what's the plan for honeymoon? Where are we going? And the only place that was available was Cambodia. And I looked at my husband. I said, Cambodia? I am never going there for a honeymoon. We're going to Europe or some other like nice, swanky place. Cambodia, my foot. And he said, "Abhi sab band ho rahe borders for this some issue. So let's not go. We'll go later. We'll settle in and then we'll go." I said, "Okay." The minute we settled in, then we started to know that a lot of countries are shutting their borders and that India is also soon going to shut. Now, the minute it shut in India, first I got some cheap thrills. Like, like how this kid who does not have to go to school, how does he or she feel? Arey band, abhi to sab aaram karo. Because I was already in the marriage zone and, relaxing and all of that. I was like, sab band, sab ghar mein raho, majja karo. And what happened was because my husband and me were newly married, it sort of helped us come together. What I think we would have taken 5 years to know each other, we got to know each other, like say in like that 2-3 months, because we were in each other's face all the time. Yeah.
Right.
So they say made for each other.
Yeah.
Made, MAID, made for each other. Doing teamwork and making things come through. So, and then slowly I told you that I was like, यार अभी कितने time तक I'll sit because I'm a workaholic. So I said, यार चल काम थोड़ा बहुत शुरू करते हैं. I started doing some lives and some free recipes, and the entire nation was in the kitchen, yeah, cooking some delicious stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Dalgona coffee and all came, mad
Right.
wine and stuff. So being a chef, you're like, "Arey, chalo, let's whip up something and keep people also busy. They are also vela. They are also there to do some, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
replicate the recipes and all. They are not in their work zone or whatever." So I was in a happy zone. Started doing my work. So that's what I told you that the first one, first lockdown. was where I minted a lot of money. I'll be very honest. I had a great time and I was very happy with COVID. I'll tell you, I mean, no offense to people who've gone through, because I've gone through shit after that in the second one. Um, what was happening is the family is safe, everybody is safe, so you are relaxed. Yeah, all your near and dear ones and little extended family is also safe. Kisi ko kuch nahi ho raha hai. Everybody's in the house, happy, doing something, and we were getting a lot of free time with each other. So I was loving that family bonding and that coming together and eating together, and I was very happy in that zone. And then work was also picking up, so I had no reasons to complain. Of course, I was extra careful. I'm a little anal about few things. That is, spraying and vegetables. Ko pata, we were getting, washing, and then drying, and then again putting it in the fridge and all that nonsense I've done. Okay, so when my dad got COVID, that was a living hell for me. Those 10 days of him being hospitalized, and um, so when things go wrong, they went wrong in such a bad way that my dad was hospitalized, and because my brother was around taking care of my dad, the very next day he was detected positive with COVID, and my mom got a sciatica pull. So in a house, my dad is in the hospital, my brother is in another room. He cannot come out because he's quarantined, and my mom cannot move because she is down with sciatica pull. So at one point of time, I was dealing with doctors of 3 people.
Yeah.
My dad in the hospital, my brother, because I was very careful if he's got my dad's viral infection, and my mom for a sciatica pull. And I don't wish even for my enemy to go through those 10 days. Like to go through anything like this in their lives. It was quite a trauma for me to go through that. So that was crazy in COVID for me.
So do you think and this is just out there, but do you think your career shift happened primarily because of this incident? Or do you think it was always there at the back of your mind?
I think it was always there because, every industry has a bubble and the bubble will burst. I joined, when I started baking, it was at a very nascent stage. It was still growing. And COVID, it became like a big bubble. And I could feel it because you're teaching, right? So you see the influx of students. You know how many bakers are going to come out. I used to teach teachers also. So I knew how many teachers are going to more come out of it, So I knew this industry is going to crash very, very soon. And somewhere, once you feel, एक बाहर का अचीवमेंट होता है और एक इंटरनल अचीवमेंट होता है. जब आपको बाहर तो वो चलते ही रहता है, इट्स नेवर एंडिंग, बट जब आपको लगता है ना इंटरनली आई हैव अचीव्ड दिस एंड ये मेरा लाइन खत्म हो गया, दैट्स इट, आई डोंट सी माई सेल्फ गोइंग above and beyond this now. Then that's the time it sort of hits you and you feel like, what more valuable thing I can do for myself? Like, how do I add more value in my life and in people's life too? Because see, I come from a service background, no, hospitality.
Right.
Yeah.
Adding value comes very naturally to us. Ki you add value to your life and to people around you. I think it was always there at the back of my mind. I just didn't know what, and I didn't know how, and I didn't know if I'll be able to go back to books and learn again after 12 years.
Of course, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's
a challenge.
Environment where you're working and you're earning and you already have a routine and a schedule set. Then you're going back to studying and then you're learning again. And your brain's also not ready. Your mind isn't ready for that kind
of. Not at all. After 2-3 minutes, I will feel sleepy. I'm like, yaar, book padhte neend aa rahi hai. Exam bhi hai, dena bhi hai, assignment ka stress. It was like back to college, man. It was very different.
And then starting everything from scratch. Like you said, the first time that you earned the 3,000 rupees per student for baking, now back to that.
Absolutely. Again, I'm like starting from 1122 students. Now it's not students, now it's clients. So 1122 clients, building it up with word of mouth, touch wood, it's going out, So yeah, it's different. Still, I like the other day I met somebody and she's like, Chef Ruhi. And I'm like, yes. But now I'm Coach Ruhi. So people are still, the imprint of being a chef is so in their mind that, I think it's taken 12 years there. I don't know how many years it will take me here to establish myself as a coach.
Yeah. Have you ever had any regrets though, or do you ever miss being a pastry chef? Coming on reels and people like for that moment which you just said that somebody pointed out your chef Ruhi when you're already a coach right now. Do you miss that? Like I'm pretty sure people must have come to you before also, like
Yeah.
about this.
Very interestingly, what I miss is the attention.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't miss not being a chef. I think that's one part of my personality which always will be there. What I miss is the recognition, the love, the the attention that I was getting from everybody. तो वो
Yeah.
कहते हैं ना कुछ छूट रहा है, वो महसूस हो रहा है मुझे कि वो मेरा एक बहुत बड़ा एक मैंने जो मेरे लिए खुद के लिए बनाया है, whatever name and stature, वो छूट रहा है एंड वो छोड़ के I'm trying to restart myself as a completely different personality. The core is the same, but you sort of start sculpting yourself unnecessarily. Whatever is unnecessary, you remove, and whatever is necessary or what will add value, you keep adding to your life. That's what is happening. So it is the restructuring that's happening to me right now, and the restructuring is the most difficult part because you see your colleagues who were there with you still doing work, still going ahead, or achieving different heights, and here you are, a student starting from scratch. Nobody knows you in the industry. They're like, okay, you're somebody new now. Okay, welcome. But people have been very warm in this industry. Let me tell you, I've been received very well, and I don't tell people also about me being a chef. Like I think Asta will tell you when we went to the retreat at Georgia. That's when our common friend Saloni, she found out later, after the entire trip, she found out about me. Somebody told her that, oh, you go with Chef Ruhee. And she's like, yeah, Coach Ruhee. She's like, no, Chef Ruhee. Yeah, she was saying something. She was the chef before. And then she opened my Instagram and somebody told her about her. And she's like, yaar, tu to celebrity hai. यार ऐसे कुछ नहीं है. नहीं यार, मैंने देखा तेरा वीडियोस, तुमने कभी बोला नहीं. But the thing is, क्या
बोला वीडियोस पे लाइक देखा है क्या?
हाँ.
सेलिब्रिटीज होते हैं.
I was like, I cannot enter with that image and with that Chef Ruhee into a Coach Ruhee phase, So, बस बहुत कुछ छूट रहा है is what I can say.
I can understand the feeling. I felt that personally when I did shift my career from psychology to content writing for 3 years, and everywhere it kept hitting me somewhere under se ki Payal, you're a psychologist. You have to get back in the field, and every time I kept on searching for a connection in my field of content to psychology. Ki how can I link those two? How can I link those two? And it's like when I went to my therapist and I spoke to her, and then it's like I needed that assurance that you can do content and psychology together. But at that point when I was thinking about my career, it's the simplest thing she could have ever told me, and that simple thing didn't hit to me because I was so lost about it. Of course, because my story is slightly different, but still I get the feeling of missing, missing out on that experience of counseling. And because even for psychologists, at the end of the day, no matter what kind of session you've gone through, you do feel that slight satisfaction that you were able to help someone today. So I get it. I get that. Like even and attention when you were during the chef pastry, when you were as a chef pastry, and because I'm sure I have never tried anything yet, but I'm pretty sure people must have loved the work you were doing in the pastries that you made. So the attention that you get, you feel that na ki I made something good because people could enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
And
But, if I could say something, that people have been very kind towards me. Once they knew that for people who've been following me very closely and they know that, okay, she's made this shift, you won't believe they've also joined me for my coaching sessions and they've joined me. So I always ask them, like, how do you have the confidence that you've seen me in a chef wear and, giving all instructions and teaching you? And how are you all okay seeing me in a different role as a coach? You didn't think twice before putting in that money. So they said, no, we know you and we're comfortable with you. So we said, why not? And that was the win for me. That I have not only, it is not pertaining to those recipes that I have the relationship with them. It is beyond that they have the kind of faith in me to say that, okay, she's doing something. We know that we will do it well. So let's go to her.
You were able to reach out to the audience long back on a different level for them to trust you.
Yeah.
Certain career shift. And I think that's important with a lot of people. It's not really what you do, but it's about how you connect with the audience. भले ही आप उनको जानते नहीं हो, but still made that difference, and they didn't think twice to follow you when you were making a career shift, and that's something that's a winning thing actually. A lot of people don't do that.
I'm very fortunate and I'm very I have a lot of gratitude that people feel that way. So just
going to say that they invested in you, not the things that you provide. They just invested in you.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. If the person is just invested in you, whatever you provide, they're going to come to you.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah. Biggest gratitude also to those people who just trust us for whatever. Like for suppose starting this podcast, I really like to thank Payal's therapist also to say that she can do both together. Because that's how the idea came, na, ki we can put podcast into content creation, into something which is mental health related also. So the journey that we came, and people just for us, like you came, other people are coming just for us to sake of नहीं करके देखते हैं क्या होता है, क्या हो जाएगा, देखा जाएगा.
Yeah.
That sort of spirit we are also creating. So I was like, I want to thank my gratitude to
I think it's the vibe too, your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you're really out there to do something with a very pure intention, then people will join you on your journey, I feel. So we all are here today so that the best of us comes out, so that people who are listening to the podcast also learn something and hopefully feel a little motivated towards the end of the podcast.
Yeah. So, Ruhee, you mentioned that you went to therapy in between when you were struggling with your career and you were struggling within yourself regarding everything around you and about you. So you mentioned that you went to 2 to 3 therapists. What happened there exactly, if you don't mind talking about it?
What happened there was the only memory I have of what happened was somebody sitting right across, watching me sob, and just listen to me, and that's it, But I think there's a difference between listening with compassion and just listening.
Agreed.
The difference between listening with compassion and just hearing you, because that's their way of making a living, and the time is ticking, and irrespective of whether you are crying or not, after 45 minutes they tell you to shut up and that the session is over and the time is over. This is more so the experience that I've had through the thing, and nothing really coming out of it. I understand what is brown water, but brown water was gone long back ago. What about it? Later, what is your plan of action? So yeah, more so it was just up to that only. It was very sad that people just want, and you know what, they keep you hooked on to wanting you to keep coming back to them and not helping you so that you are free. I tell my clients that 8 sessions, and I'm not going to take you more than 8 sessions. I'll try completing things in 6 sessions and you should be out of my office. I don't want to see you again.
I've never
Yeah.
agreed to that kind of counseling methods because it doesn't make sense to me as a psychologist. Because I think every person has their own way of coping with things and understanding and
Mhm.
getting out of that situation. You cannot define a person's problem in 6 sessions or 8 sessions.
The fact that I'm telling you about 6 sessions or 8 sessions is what I mean to do is when you come to me, I want to be solution oriented. I don't want to sit and I don't want to drag. But of course, if there is a need, then I'm always there. And from whatever I've seen, even with my clients, वो करेंगे, after 5 session, full happy, okay, pata nahi, they're in their own world. Then they are not taking the session time. Then I have to tell them, listen, you have 2 more, please complete now. They're like, no, I think we are fine. We'll come to you when we feel like. So that's a win for me.
Mhm.
Okay, that's a very personal thing which I have, because understand that I went through the long procedure and nothing was happening. So I want to be solution oriented. I want to be, and solution doesn't come from me. It comes from them only.
Of course, you can only
To nudge them.
forward.
Yeah, and that's where NLP helped me. The
Mm.
sessions that I was taking, and to come to a point just by CBT was taking me 45 minutes, maybe a session, sometimes 2 sessions. With NLP, within 5 minutes, I was like, khatam. You elicit it within 5 minutes, and then you work towards it. So I was not spending a lot of unnecessary time there.
Hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Nice.
NLP pushed you towards like trying on something new again.
NLP was a game changer for me.
Hmm.
So very accidentally, I came across Anil Thomas, who is my mentor, and Aarti. So these two people really helped me understand the nuances of how to handle a client, what are the things, how you elicit their trauma, how do you help them moving forward. And that was a game changer. NLP was a game changer for me. So for people who are doing coaching, I highly recommend that you do NLP or Gestalt, because I have not done Gestalt, but Asta has done. And she's somebody who's really good, and she's writing papers on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can always get in touch with her. I've done NLP and I can vouch for it that it is something different. It helps you, बहुत जल्दी clear हो जाता है black and white. जब आप आते हो, you have a muddy water, like it's all mixed, and it's just there. But NLP just helps you separate the two and tells you this is this and this is this. Now what? Helps you recognize your pattern, break the pattern, and set new behaviors. So I find that really helpful.
So, do you have any moments that you've shared with Anil Thomas? Because I know he's famous for Gestalt and NLP, and as a foundation named Umang. I knew this from Asta because she told me about it first too. So, do you have any any memorable moments or instances that you have with him when you were working with him?
That shifted you as a person, that helped you, and
Yeah.
something in you.
So that man is like a walking library.
Okay.
The minute he opens his mouth, you just want to listen to him, because there's so much of gyan oozing out of him.
Yeah.
And the way he says it, you don't have time to write down what he's saying. You just have to listen to him. And that's where the transformation happens. वो बोलते जाएंगे, आपको ऐसा बस मैं सुनती रहूं, यार, how did he say this, यार, अरे यार, I never thought of it this way. So there are a lot of moments, a lot of aha moments which have happened in his class and in his workshops. Let me think. One of the profound things that he has said is the behavior that you have in one place is also the behavior that you have in other areas of your life also. So if you're somebody who's constantly procrastinating or something, you'll see yourself doing that in other areas as well of your life.
Yeah.
And one very interesting thing that he said was that you as humans, you all play different roles in your life. So the strength you have, say as a daughter, is not the strength you have as a wife. It's different from the strengths you have as a chef, and it's different from the strengths you have as a life coach. So you see where you are the most strongest and you have the best of abilities in that role, and try extending that to other roles where you feel there is a lack.
Mhm.
So yeah, there are a lot of some mind-boggling things that he says.
Mind-boggling would be the word.
Yeah, it completely shifts your knowledge very high. यार ऐसे तो कभी सोचा नहीं. One day he's telling me, what is the quality of your silence? मैंने बोला अरे यार silence का भी quality होता है. Okay, and that's what we explored in Georgia. The quality
Yeah.
of silence.
Okay.
And after, and you understand the depth of it. It is not just his words. It is when you sort of interpret what he's trying to say, when you experience the depth of what he's saying, is when the shift happens.
Yeah. And the amazing thing about, like, I saw him in 3 different places: Mumbai, Delhi, and Georgia. Delhi very recently. In Delhi, suddenly he became a shire. So everything was about poetry to him in this session, which I've never seen before, like, so much. Like, everything, he's like, Delhi has inspired me to be a poet. So I was like, how? I've been living here for so long. I don't know how poetry works. And he has started, like, हम फिर मिलेंगे, and these kind of shairis, like poet shairis, and he's going into the bookstore reading poetry and just coming out and sharing that poetry with us. And I was like, relax, tell me what is going on, something happened. Like, no, I fell in love with Delhi. I was like, okay. And how this that love of falling into about a place, there is nothing. Delhi वैसा ही है कितने सालों से, but he has explored it and he learned so much and he put everything into the training. And I was like, there's something I have to think about. He makes you think a lot. That is another thing about him.
Yeah.
So when you got into coaching, were there any specific strategies or techniques that you learned which you could use for yourself that changed your life? Something that you would use on yourself as like on a personal level that helped you change your life and help people around you as well, because there are like so many techniques, but something which is very close to you that helped you a lot.
I think which helped me. I can talk for what's helped people around me. That's asking questions. That's asking meaningful and impactful questions only when you feel the need to ask. Otherwise, hold space and hold silence for others. For me, I think what worked for me was NLP. When you disassociate yourself, I think that works beautifully well, because whenever I'm stuck in a situation, I still do that with myself. I disassociate from the issue.
Okay.
Go behind and see. Go behind and see. And go behind and see. And when I see the holistic picture standing from here is when I understand. Okay. So I think that works. I think NLP has worked more for me. Yeah.
Personal therapy time.
Yeah.
So do you have any experience which was like a big time winner for you with a client? Something that which you will cherish forever, which made you feel so good about yourself because you were able to help that person?
Yeah, man. As we're talking, I can think of two of them. Two of the episodes that happened. And so this is, without sharing much details, so this client was going through a lot of emotional breakdown, and I had just learned this technique in NLP, and I was like, "Ye best, I have to do this right now," because sometimes those techniques, tools call out to you like, "Ye time यही करना है because इसी से इसको relief मिलेगा या एक clarity मिलेगी, एक option मिलेगा life में to think in a different way." And I tried that, and whenever I see a shift in them, like when they're swallowing or they're sighing or anything, when I see those physical shifts in them, I get these goosebumps at my neck. And I've understood the sign from my body that when I get these goosebumps on my neck, which means there's a shift in the client, and that's good, because I don't know how to explain that to you, but I connect.
No, I get it.
also with the client, even if it's on Zoom, I connect with them and I keep watching these different cues on their bodies to understand if there's a shift, if there is any kind of learning that they are having.
Right.
So, there was twice that this happened, and it sort of moved me, and it moved the client too. And I get this message at a little late hour from both of them saying that, you know what, this was quite impactful, and it's going to be with me for a long time. And I've become very quiet after this, and there are a lot of thoughts which are coming to me, and there's a lot of introspection happening. So, yeah.
So you felt like a winner there because you were able to make a difference.
I did feel good, but I've also been taught by my mentors that whatever the client learns, understands, is their part of the game. That has nothing to do with you. So don't take the onus on you for anything. वो उनकी journey है, and you're doing your best to help them, to assist them in whatever way you can. So don't take the onus on you. And I'm learning to do that, because if I start taking the onus on me, then mind is it's a very funny thing. It starts working with a lot of ego then, and I don't want to come from that space. So I don't take that on me.
And the pressure to be that way with every client.
Yeah, it does come. What happens to you is not my lookout. You come with a problem, I do my best. I'll be there 10,000% to hear you, to hold space for you. But what you take out of it is your learning.
Your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you feel doing this huge, I mean, I know I'm coming back to the same question, but what I wanted to know is that internally, when you were shifting your career from being a pastry chef to a life coach, we only know that your husband was supportive, but were there people who told you like, Ruhee, don't do it, you've worked into pastry for like 12 years, it doesn't make sense for you to shift a career? Any challenges like that?
So,
I'm guessing there is something.
No, so of course my mother, my brother, and my husband have been super supportive. They're like, "Tujhe jo karna hai kar," and they never interfered much with what I wanted to do and all. Every person that I've met, but you were doing well, na? Why this shift? You were earning well, na? Why this shift? And I'm like, doing well and earning well has nothing to do with how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's, and see, if they are at that level, I don't want to sort of go to that level and explain to them what moved from me within, right? And they will never understand that. So I think it's wise to be sensible and not to get into too much conversation. Bore ho gayi thi, 12 saal se ek hi kaam kar rahi thi. Forget it. Now I shifted. And they're like, huh? Like, you had the balls to do it? I said, yeah. I'm very brave that way. I don't get, but I get that a lot. I get that a lot. Till date, people are like, हाँ तो भी कुछ कोच वोच बन गई है ना, तो उसमें क्या होता है? Like people don't even know what life coaching is,
Yeah. They'll say that because you come from a different background altogether, going into a different field.
Yeah.
आता क्या है इसके बारे में? फिर से scratch से शुरू करना पड़ेगा.
हाँ. And they're like, why? Like, they always have that question, why? Like, recently I went for this Godrej L'Affaire event, and that's where I met the entire chefs community, like all the chefs that have been doing events and all this. And they were up on stage, and I was standing down. For the first time, I'm standing down in the audience, and they were up on the stage, and they all met me, and they hugged me. छोड़ दिया ना तूने, छोड़ दिया ना. I said, हाँ, बस हो गया था. But see, those people understood where I was coming from. But other people that I meet, they're like, why? क्या जरूरत थी? हम लोग ऐसे ही मूड बन गया था, छोड़ दिया. So I keep it light with them.
Yeah. I mean, it's your choice at the end, right? What you're comfortable with, what makes you happy. Because a lot of people have this tendency to like push you into something like in something that you're not like interested, or if you've saturated from it completely, they bring that topic of तुमने इतना पढ़ाई किया ये फील्ड में, इतना पैसा भरा यूनिवर्सिटी में, क्या फायदा फिर उस चीज का अगर तुम करियर ही शिफ्ट करना चाहती हो, क्यों ही लिया फिर in the first place, stuff like that.
But see, for me, I'd spent already good 12, 13 years. So for me, that thing didn't come up that aapne, you chose this career. And
Yeah.
I think so. We are Aga Khanis. We are followers of Prince Aga Khan.
Okay.
And he, in his one of his, so he keeps sending us a lot of guidelines. And one of his guidelines, he said that you will shift at least 2 to 3 careers in a lifetime. So don't be afraid. So somewhere I think even my parents were ready because, or I was also ready. I'm okay to even have one more shift. And the best part is I'm not afraid. I say कुछ छूट रहा है, वो तो एक feeling है ना, कुछ छूट रहा है. But मुझे डर नहीं है. Whether I'll be successful, not successful, because I'm not doing this for success. I am doing this solely for my soul, because this is my journey, and I will decide how my journey, my time goes moving forward from. Right.
Last thing I really wanted to just ask you, or just to share, that how you didn't give up on the therapy part also. Like, you made a journey out of therapy, but how is the feeling of not giving up after trying so many people? That not giving up वाला जो feeling था वो कैसा था?
So I gave up faith in others, but I didn't give up faith in myself. So the idea was that I do this for myself, for my healing, because I felt them incompetent to help me. And that was very unfortunate. There are a lot of competent people out there who are there to help you, but mujhe nahi. So that was unfortunate. So my idea was कि इससे help होगा तो, अब कैसा होगा मुझे नहीं पता है. So forget them, let me start from scratch.
Right.
Yeah.
So there were also, in fact, I was reading a lot even on mediumship. There are these mediums who help you connect with the deceased, and a lot of the psychics and all. So I think I got very deep into understanding where is this going, where is my dad, where is this world, and I think from that question came who I am, what am I doing here, how do I want to be remembered. Because when my dad passed away, I remember everybody, right from the watchman to everybody, has come and they've told me how my father has helped them. Some of them have a house in their native place. Somebody's wife was pregnant and he's given money. He's helped so many people for education. He's helped people to get married. So, and मेरे डैडी ने कभी बताया भी नहीं ना, हमें कभी पता भी नहीं उन्होंने help किया है. And now, after he's passed away, people are coming and telling us, and that's such a proud feeling. So my question to me, I started asking myself, how do I want to exit from this earth? How do I want people to remember me? Chef is just one part of being me, but how well did I contribute to them, to people around? So I think that's where the shift happened, because पर ये सब छोटा लगने लगता है ना, because आप ये जो event करते हो वो आप अपने आप के लिए, आपकी ego के लिए करते हो.
Right.
Then comes a stage where you genuinely want to be there. So I think I'm in that phase now of my life.
That's a beautiful journey, and I think that's a beautiful phase that we can say that somebody from dealing with their own grief to becoming something which is very different right now is something.
The universe helps you. Sometimes I don't know the tools. I don't know. I don't know. But वो automatically आपको आ जाता है जब आपकी वो पता ना इंटेंशन, आपकी नीयत जब सही होती है ना कुछ करने की, you somehow you're able to do it. You're able to put yourself out there to help the person.
Yeah.
Well,
So we are at the very end now.
yeah.
Payal, you want to end it?
Yeah, actually, we're at the end because Ruhi's given us so much content. Her life, And I enjoyed listening to every second of it because it was really inspiring at the same.
Yeah.
Also, for our listeners, that if you guys ever feel like going to therapy, make sure you're not wasting your time there by just sobbing and they're just listening to you. As much as you're seeking for help, it should help you in a way too where you can actually move from your problems rather than just paying hourly and coming back with no effect on you. So make sure you choose a right therapist for your problems.
Yeah.
I think we all learned that from Ruhi today. Yeah, it's important to know.
Yeah, it's really important. So, see, being a therapist for like I've been doing counseling and therapy and clinical psychology for like past 5 years, and it's stuck in my head that how bad it is out there. Like
Yeah.
some of time when I know the client doesn't need me so much, after the first session also I tell them, "Okay, it's your choice to come back."
Yeah.
But and there are 100 different ways to get help. It's not just therapy, but there are 100 different ways. If this is not working out for you, you have sat with me in a session and it is not working out, find your different way. And I'm there to help you find a different way.
Yeah.
Different therapist if you want. If I am not working out for you, that's completely fine with me. And I don't take it back as a bad thing because it's like, यार मैं भी तो एक मेरा भी तो एक मेंटोर है जिसके पास मैं जाती हूँ. मैं भी तो 10 लोगों से ट्राई करके आई हूँ और मुझे भी 10 लोग में से सिर्फ एक ही बंदा पसंद आया या एक ही इंसान के पास आई वांट टू गो एंड कनेक्ट बैक. Why to give them only me as an option? Why not 10 other people as an option to you also? So that you can choose and you can decide. Somebody, sometimes just the voice of a person you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel that is so much like when you go onto YouTube and you see different videos, just a voice and something about one person you don't like, and you don't want to listen to that person again. So why to go back to that thing? Similarly, you can do it with therapist. Doesn't matter who the person is, how many years of experience that is. वो आपको pro bono भी ले रहा है, free में भी session करके दे रहा है, तो भी मतलब नहीं होता अगर if you're not getting anything out of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
So
think that
okay.
happens when you put the client first and you say that what is the best for you should happen to you. I think that's when you also don't have ego in doing that. You're very clear. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So
Too serious. We are ending कुछ थोड़ा. I was like कि कुछ अच्छे पे end करते but फिर serious हो गए हम लोग.
So I'd like to tell everybody, to all the listeners, यार सिर्फ Instagram देखकर या सिर्फ 2-3 अच्छी बातें वीडियो पे सुनकर YouTube पे सुनकर you know what, we have a different image of somebody, and you know what, most of the times, okay, 99% of the times with me at least, when I've met them in real life na, full flop hota hai. You know, when you meet them, you're like, oh wow, I heard this, and then when you actually meet the person, you're like, no, maybe I expected this person to be someone else, you know.
yeah.
So don't go on Instagram likes and follows and all of that. Check the coach or the therapist for yourself. Take a first session. Do your research.
Such is
And
important.
yeah. And if it doesn't suit you, it's okay. Move
Yeah.
on and be fast. Don't get stuck. You were stuck in your life. Don't get stuck with therapists and coaches at least.
Ruhi, you have any last words for listeners about who are also thinking to switch their careers? A lot of them are scared to do that. People go.
Okay, so being scared and having that fear is very natural. But if you have that inner thing that I want to do it, go ahead and do it. And if you put your mind to something, nothing will stop you. And if you need assistance, you'll always find people who are ready to help you. You just have to go and ask them. So if you have people in the field who you'd like to get little knowledge from before switching fields, go ahead and do it. They'll really support you. They will be there. They'll guide you. And life is too short. Maja karo, dhamal karo. Live a life where you don't need therapists and coaches. They can make us redundant.
Please don't drive us out of business.
All three of us will be out of business.
No. We will find some other business. We'll find better and bigger business.
So we
are not
did.
here.
If we think about it, we did find a good business now. It just start, but we did find a good business.
So and live your life, balanced life jiyo, maza bhi karo. And when you feel there is tension and stress, feel free to cry, express, emote yourself, and live a full, wholesome life. That's all I'd like to say.
Okay, then everyone, thank you for listening. And you will find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify. When we will be putting down Ruhi's link, Instagram links, and you can search her on all platforms. Thank you so much for listening today, and
Thank
bye-bye.
you, Ruhi, for being
Thank you,
here.
Ruhi, for joining us today.
Thank you, Payal and Asta. I had a fabulous time. And it didn't feel like a podcast. It just felt like I'm just talking to my friends and, we're chilling. So, yeah, I had a great time. Thank you so much to all the listeners also for patiently listening to us for so long. And I hope you'll have found value in what we had to say. And I hope the messages have reached to you. So enjoy your life and take care of yourselves. And keep watching Asta and Payal.